Hello friends, it's Shadow Ready here, playing some more World of Warships, or today, teaching World of Warships. Today we're going to be talking about map positioning for battleships. So we're going to still use the Atlantic map. It's an easy map to use, and it's a great place to look at. So for battleships, basically the key for you guys is you want to look for opportunities within the islands where you have like a narrow gap, that you have a perfectly opportunity to have a narrow gap so that you are fighting ships one-on-one. You don't want to be taking on multiple ships at once. Even then, you still want to just potentially try to not even get taken shots at by other ships. So it's all dependent on map positioning for you guys. So you want to make sure, like, if I'm here, I have this alleyway to worry about and this alleyway to worry about for the most part. You may have some issues here coming this way, but for the most part, you got these two alleyways. So you want to use this island right here in the middle as your kind of like your kind of base of operations slash protection. So if you want to just fight, if there's a ship over here and you just want to fight him one-on-one, so make sure you position yourself probably like where this X is, so that you're potentially getting this alleyway blocked. Now, if I want to not fight this guy, but fight somebody that's right here, I would probably try to position myself right here so that I have a potential of just fighting one-on-one. That's the key for battleships, is fighting one-on-one or cross-map pressure. So like, yes, if I am, here, let's erase this example. So if I'm still that X with the circle on it, I have two options. I can still fight during this tunnel right here that I talked about here, but then I also have potential for this area right here. Depending on your caliber and how long your range is and everything, you have that area to really contest, because this island right here is helping you block you, so you are only having two places to worry about. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to take multiple places of fire. So if there is somebody here, I would dive into cover and then potentially try to cross the map, because they should be maybe angling up and making your life a lot easier so that you can get citadels. So that's the biggest thing with battleships, is you want to make sure that you are a cross map type of situation where you have the advantage in some way, shape, or form of at least trying to get somebody's broadside. So like right here, this would be a perfect broadside for me if I was in this location. Now, if you're in one of those battleships that don't have the best guns, aka the Germans, and you're more a secondary build, still you want to do kind of the same thing of trying to find a perfect window of opportunity, but you can be a little bit more aggressive, but you got to be watching out too. So I would not, like, for example, I wouldn't go here until at least 7 minutes or more in the battle have gone by, so that I'm not exposed type of thing, because I still want to battle one-on-one as much as possible. So I could, if I was German, I could go, you know, somewhere like right here, so that I am only focusing on this window and maybe this window over here if somebody is that desperate and goes all the way over here. So and then later on, as the battle progresses and things happen, I can either make my escape to this island or come and support this side, or if I need to, run. Just once again, it's going to be dependent on how your team's doing and everything like that. But once again, this position right here is a very powerful position, because you are basically shielded from anybody on this side of the map, right? You only really have to focus is this group and this group. You also will still technically focus there, but that's just besides the point. That's the biggest targets, right? Is going to be right there and there. So that's what I would do if I was starting on this side of the map. Now, if I'm on the other side of the map, because, you know, maps are two ways, I still want to apply those principles. So I clearly see that this island right here is a perfect source of cover. So I need to make sure I position myself probably like right here so that I'm only fighting this section right there, and vice versa. If I'm on the battleship side over here, if I spawn closer over here, I probably want to be careful because these islands aren't the biggest islands possible to duck behind. Like this one is, but the other two are not that big. So I may want to even just kind of stay somewhere like right here so that I only have one area that I'm really worried about is that I'm covering is this area right in here. Once again, fighting one front. That's the biggest thing with battleships, is fighting one front, and using these windows of the islands to your advantage because you can reach out and touch people at further distance than anybody else. Now, as the game progresses, that is going to be different. So like once we get, it's going to happen. Like you have A is already captured, B is probably in the way of being captured, and C is captured. You have probably already lost a lot of ships in some way, shape, or form. So that is totally normal. But we are going to say we're over here and we have this captured. And the enemy team has down here, and this one's still like being contested, whatever the case may be. So if I was in this position, you have two options. The safer option is going back over here, because this is where most likely your team is still going to be, or you can take the riskier option, and kind of come into the cap. It just depends on what you know at that moment in time. The only reason why I'm saying maybe come into the cap is now you could potentially create a crossfire. If you have teammates already over here and there's ships coming this way, you have a crossfire. That's the biggest thing, is you want to try to create crossfire. But if you come over here and you're all by yourself, now you're easy target for a destroyer, easily to sink you. Potentially, as long as you're changing course and speed, you should be fine, but it's an easier route, I've always been hesitant to cross the imaginary line. The imaginary line is basically, I'm drawing it with a faint color. That's not perfect, but you get the point. It's right down the middle of where the caps are. So if you are crossing over that line, just make sure you have the numbers and you know where the enemy is at. In theory, going back over here is the safer route, but going this way is potentially more risk, but you can also get more reward. So that's the only thing that you have to be paying attention to the map, knowing roughly where the positions are and last locations of certain ships, that type of thing. So that's kind of like the biggest thing is once you get to that halfway point, what is going on in the battle, look at your map, know what you can do. Obviously, if I'm in a Kansas, I am never going to go this way. Just going to be honest with you, because I am too slow. I'm in a slow moving battleship. But if I'm in a French battleship, I could potentially go this way, You just got to know your limitations to your ship as well. I know that's saying a lot. You got to kind of do the research on your ship. But as far as basically halfway through the game, the safer route is always kind of looping back around, unless your whole entire team is steamboating this way. That's going to be my option. But basically, you want to help out where you can. Now, the issue, of course, is if you have, two cap circles, like say you have B and C here, don't overextend. That's the biggest part that I've seen a lot of people is they keep trying to push and try to get this one. There's no reason. The other team has to come towards you to at least capture this, right? So just make sure that you are set up in a position like here or potentially here, depending on where we're at in the game and everything like that. Just to make sure that you can fight oncoming ships that are coming from C trying to get to B here. That's the biggest thing, is just trying to make sure that you don't overextend, because whenever you overextend, you're trying to win harder, and you don't have to do this in this game. There's a reason why there's cap circles. So just make sure that you're defending as much as possible. But granted, if you are in this situation down here, where you're down here at the bottom and you only have A, I would say go this way. If you spawned on this side. If you spawned on the other side over here, you would kind of go over this way. But basically, go on the side that you are spawning from. That's usually 9 times out of 10 the safer side, to go and attack for B. Now, this is another easy kind of thing to talk about, is positioning around B, because there can be a point where you are going to be battling for B. So this island is glorious, because it's going to prevent crossfires. So just make sure that you are in a position where you can utilize being just targeting this, basically this side and this side, if that situation comes up. And vice versa. You can be down here and just make sure that you're using the islands to your advantage and using the windows, because you can see there's a lot of windows that you can use, and that is the biggest key, is making sure that you use these windows to attack and destroy what you need to destroy, and not to expose your own broadside. So that's the biggest tips right there. Hopefully that makes sense, but for the most part, just kind of keep an eye out for what you are doing in the battle, and watch your mini-map, because, sometimes the risks do pay off, but unless you, don't know your risk of your ship, or you don't know everything about your ship, I wouldn't take the risk the first couple of games. Maybe whenever you get a little bit more comfortable with your ship and whatnot, then yes, take those risks. But you're a battleship. You are going to be the one that's got the most power in one shot, technically, if you think about it. So still, you can take some hits, but be careful about it, because you can lose your health real fast. But try to support where you can. With that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I have a video, either one of these sides, talking about map tactics, map positioning for destroyers. So hopefully, if you need to see that, you can go visit one of those videos. But thanks. Bye-bye.